So what is the what is the SEC for those who are new for today? The SEC, the Social Engagement Committee, was founded by Diane Salters, and she brought it in the world because normally therapists, consultants, or coaches are working with their clients, but we are all in an environment of a society of the world. And there are societal topics and also world problems around us and affect our work and affect us as people personally. And therefore, we work in a social engagement committee around these topics. How are they involving us? And now we've thought about that for a longer time. We thought for 2024, we take the topic of the disturbances in the world around the wars. It started 2 years ago with the war from Russia in the Ukraine. And also then last year we had a conflict and a hot war between Israel and Gaza, or Israel and Hamas. And I think these things are very much affecting people and are playing a big role in whole society and also in our psyche. And therefore we say that that is a topic for us for social engagement. And today we begin a series of 3 workshops for this topic. First, today about the personal aspects. Then we will have a workshop about the professional side. And then we will have a workshop about the community side this year later. So today we begin with the personal side. Before we start, before I introduce our speaker for today, I would like to say something about the way we work together in our webinars. And PJ, could you please bring in the dialogue? Yeah. So we are our form of working together is by dialogue. So to talk shortly about that, dialogue is a conversation with a purpose. It is a civilized operation, democratic, and a constructive act. So there are 5 aspects of the dialogue. First, what we all know, the respect. When we talk to each other, we will go also in small groups today and have some plenary session. Is the I am okay, you are okay as a phrase that we have as a basic attitude for us. What does that mean when we go into the small groups, for example? It's also to suspend beliefs and judgments. We are people like to judge and to jump on something what another one says, but we would like to invite you to suspend judgments and beliefs, but also but more to share your experiences and what comes from your heart. Therefore, the next point is speak from your heart. So we believe in the relational ethics that that it is good to also make a pause or to have not everything that is on my tongue to fire it out, but to have to go in respect with others and also to listen. That is the last point. Yeah, listening as a cornerstone of the dialogue. That is a little picture I developed with Salma Siddiq from Scotland some time ago, and I think that could be a frame for us to work together today. So now I have the great pleasure to introduce Diane Salters, who, as I already said, is the founder of the SEC. And we are glad to have Diane Salters with us And it's a comeback, as I said. But on the other hand, I think you will guide us now for some time, and because you have some personal experiences about this topic, about the topic of the conflict and the war, Israel, Gaza, Palestine, and therefore I hope I have not forget. So you're a TSTA of from South Africa. I wrote, and we know ourselves from a long time working in the ITAA board years
For
ago with
sure.
English and Claude Steiner and other great TA people, and we were the smaller ones in the TA time at this time. Okay, so Diane Salters, I welcome you and I give the word to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gunther. It's a pleasure to be here with everybody. And good day, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. So I imagine that part of the reason that I was asked to contribute to this today was because of a piece I wrote for the script in November called Palestine and Israel, a very personal response. Some of you may have seen it and some not, but I have relatives by marriage who came from Palestine. And then in South Africa, I have my own experiences here that are rang very true for me. So I'll talk about that a bit more. But first of all, I'd like to offer a short grounding exercise. This comes from the work of Ken and Elizabeth Mellor, who were my teachers for many, many years and whose teachings I found invaluable. By grounding ourselves securely in our physical awareness and sensations, we become much more able to digest intense reactions and able to become more present to ourselves and to other people. We move naturally towards greater ease and balance when we are well grounded. So I will give you some directions during this exercise, but if there's anything that I suggest that you do not want to do what you want to do because it will be right for you. Some of you may be familiar with this exercise, having learned it with Ken and Elizabeth, and for others it may be new. So allow yourself to become aware of the contact of your body on whatever you are sitting on, the contact of your feet with the floor, your breath coming and going. And now focus on what is going on around you. Open your eyes and use all 5 senses to see, hear, touch, taste, or smell whatever is around you. You might blink your eyes so that you're seeing more clearly. You can notice the room you're in. Maybe the outside through a window. The virtual community in front of you that has joined you from far and near. Particularly notice anything that feels or looks vibrant and alive. You may listen, you may hear what is going on around you. There's the sound of my voice. There may be other sounds around you outside. Allow yourself to be fully aware of whatever is going on around you. touch what is near to you and feel what is touching you. Your clothes, the air on your skin, seat on which you're sitting. You can also taste and smell, sniff the air, breathe across your tongue. All these senses connect us all the time with the world around us and help us to tune our body to what is going on around us and to be present. Now, you can shift your attention from the outside to the inside. What is going on inside your body? Again, you would use all senses. Hear, feel, taste, or smell what is on the inside. It may help to close your eyes to focus on the inside. You may notice areas that are soft or hard. Cool or hot. You may notice areas that are light or dark. Tense or relaxed. You may notice areas where there's no sensation. That too is a sensation. Check out your whole body from top to toe, toe to top, so that you be fully in touch with every area of your body. Now, retaining that inner awareness, open your eyes and return to the outer awareness again, holding both inner and outer awareness at the same time. Fully alert to the outside and aware of the inside at the same time. At first, this may mean kind of coming and going between the two. But as you practice, it becomes easier to hold them simultaneously. So allow yourself to play with that a little bit. All the time remaining aware of your feet on the ground and your seat in the chair. Okay. That is an exercise that you can spread out more extensively, which is very beneficial when you spread it out. Or you can condense it to 2 minutes while you're standing in a queue or waiting for a bus, and feel the benefits almost immediately of grounding yourself in that way in the here and now. Okay. So now that we're well grounded, let us return to the topic for today: how we manage our personal reactions to extreme events, such as the events in Gaza. And I want to be very clear that I'm not discounting extraordinary and tragic events that are going on elsewhere in the world. Ukraine, Sudan, Myanmar, and others. I'm simply choosing Gaza as my focus for today, because it was one that came home to me particularly powerfully at the time. I also want to make a distinction between reactions, which are immediate and often involuntary, and responses, which may be more considered, more nuanced, and the result of how well we manage those initial reactions and the related emotions, which may be very intense. So, personally, my immediate reactions to the horrendous Hamas attack on Israeli civilians, followed swiftly by Israel's devastating onslaught on Gaza, were shock, anger, grief. Denial would have been nice, but was impossible in the face of the barrage of news and images of both events. I experienced myself as helpless and powerless. I wanted to run away. And then I felt guilty about that impulse and aware that my experiences, however painful, were a mere echo of what was being experienced by the hostages and the people of Gaza. All of you will have had similar and different reactions, and you will be aware of those and invited to share them and how you dealt with them in our small group. You may also have found that the ongoing events reactivated past difficult experiences, which heightened the intensity of your emotional reaction. These will be individual for all of us. I'll share mine. For me, it was fear, acute fear, activated not only by my empathy with the people in Israel and Gaza, but also by memories of the old apartheid regime which I grew up under. Its dehumanizing of the Black population, its stifling propaganda, and its ruthlessness in dealing with anyone deemed to be an enemy. No, events in Israel and Palestine felt very uncomfortably too close to home. It's no wonder I wanted to run away. Realizing this helped me to stay and witness. And I think there's a difference between being a bystander and being an active witness. We can perhaps talk about that more in the small groups. And I was able to witness both what was going on out there and my own reactions in here. As I grounded, I became more able to manage my reactions, choose my responses. Stepping back somewhat allowed me to step in, to engage, to write the piece I've already mentioned, and to become engaged in other ways that I don't need to go into now. So, on that note, you, as I said, will all have had your own reactions to this and other extreme events, and found ways of managing your responses to this in whatever ways worked best for you. So now, Michele, if you, whoever's handling this, we can now go into the small groups with this invitation and question. Notice your reactions to these global challenges. What strategies do you have for managing your responses? Over to you, Michele.
Yes, you will receive an invitation to go to small rooms, see if it's possible for you. Some people wrote me saying that will not be possible, and it's okay. You join the group, and in the end, we invite you to share something if we have time.
So welcome back in the plenary. Now is the time that you can give some impressions, some ideas that you had in the groups. We do it by open mic. You can raise your hand or use the piece in the Zoom to show that you want to say something. So we are very interested, and I think we all are interested to hear some of the ways that people all in the world are using to manage to cope with this situation we are all in. So open mic. So Hasina, could you say who you are at the beginning and then your comment?
Yeah, I'm Hasina, PTSDA from India. So I was very touched with the topic that emerged in the breakout room. While I spoke, I realized how much I was wishing to talk about this in a place where it is okay. I was waiting for an opportunity where I would get a place where I could talk from a space of how I see things and how others see, and have a conversation that is very much respecting each other's perspective. And once I spoke that, I felt my suffocation is released, because I was using a lot of writing to convey my angst and convey my responses. But now I feel I had a voice, I had a space. So the coping, we spoke about how we were different and how we were similar in our experiences and our responses, and how we would ground differently. I coped by writing, while my colleagues grounded by meditation and many other ways. And how I changed from being unconscious bystander to a conscious bystander, choosing certain ways to respond to the experiences, and also simultaneously looking at multiple wars that's happening around. For me, while I'm coming in India, there's a lot of other things that's happening in India and other parts of the world. So it was very disturbing to sit with that all by myself. So I'm really grateful for ITAA for bringing this webinar and having this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hasina. So PJ, now I cannot see the people who is raising a hand.
I'm not seeing anybody raising a hand at the moment, but I think Elima, do apologize.
Yeah, at least maybe I want to introduce myself. My name is Alema from Ethiopia. I joined a group. I came a bit late, so I joined a group with Marion and Mikael. So we have discussed about the effects of war, and I tried to, from my concrete experience with, since I was a man living in a war situation, now I can sense and I can correlate immediately, practically, how the people are feeling the powerlessness, the misery, what is happening in Gaza and Ukraine. So we discussed on these matters and the bad effects of war. But the question is how we can help people to remain resilient even in this situation. So this is how we share among ourselves.
So you talked about resilience and how one can support people. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Alina. And did I understand you right that you were in a war as a child?
Yeah. I mean, since I was born, there was war in Ethiopia for the 17 years. Then we tested a bit a time of a peaceful time, and the era when the country has also recorded economic growth, people who started to live a bit in a better way. But soon war started in a more devastating manner, maybe due to the development of weapons with damaging and frightening power. The 2-year war was more damaging than the 17-year one.
Yes. Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Halima.
so yeah.
Sharing. Okay. Now I have Ronan. Is that the right spoken?
Ronan, hiya.
Ronan.
So I'm Ronan Stillman. I live and work in Edinburgh. I'm a TSTA in psychotherapy. I'm also originally from Israel. I'm in fact lived in one of those places that were attacked on the 7th of October. So the events that are discussed are very, very close to home. It's very literally close to home. And so my reaction to the events has been a little bit, I could best describe as going into hiding. I've been very scared by what's happened, and by also being scared by the reaction of the world to what's happened. There has been quite a lot of a split in terms of how the world sees the situation, in terms of who's the goodies and who's the baddies, and who's the oppressor and who's the oppressed, and that's felt very, very uncomfortable and very very silencing. And I think, again, based on my experience of war, or personal experience of war as well, when you are under threat, you have to very quickly assess who's a friend and who's an enemy, who's going to be safe and who's going to be attacking. And I mean that not just at a psychological level, but I actually mean that in a physical level. There's been a huge rise in anti-Semitism attacks in the UK, in Germany, in the US, all over the world. So there's something very, very primitive that I think is alive. And what I find helpful is in conversations with people, like even now, I've ended up speaking with someone who was of Arab origin, and remembering because it's easy to forget that we have a hell of a lot more shared than we have different, and that our human experience and suffering is very, very similar, despite what maybe some in government would like us to believe.
So we all have the same blood.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's still painful to lose people that you like, or to see that your tribe being under threat. That is a very, very scary situation.
Okay, thank you, Ronan. And I see Karen.
Thanks, Gunther. I'm Karen from South Africa. In our group, there were 3 of us active. Me from South Africa, someone from Montenegro, someone from France. And some of the themes of how we coped was to be reminded of our basic humanity. I shared something of the work I've been following of Valerie Kaur in her work See No Stranger, and her sense of the stranger is a part of me I do not yet know, and how to really stay with that and live into that. And also the power of putting positive energy into the world through meditation, thinking maybe that's not going to do anything, but really believing the more people are dropping into that space, the more it can impact. And the phrase, think globally, but act locally. And even the sense of those daily acts of peace and compassion, rather than being overwhelmed by inactivity, those can be in a subtle, energetic way being put back into our global communities.
Mm. Think globally, act locally. Yesterday I was on a demonstration in Berlin 2 days ago again. So
Yeah.
you. Then I see Mo.
Yes, hi Gunther, thank you. What valuable contributions from colleagues. I agree with Hasina that this is what we've needed, well, what I've needed, definitely. We had a small group of 3, and Lina from Brussels and Pooja from India. We talked about witnessing, and I absolutely agree with Diane, there's a difference in witnessing and bystanding. I think witnessing is what we can do in awareness, when we can do nothing else physically. Accounting as well. We talked about internal integration leads to an external integration. So I've worked for some time with a group in Ukraine where we use a similar exercise to the grounding exercise that Diane used, which they say is extremely valuable, and especially in those moments when they're in real threat. So we have actually been on Zoom when the alarms have gone off and they've had to decide to leave the meeting or not, as is their situation. And they say that being able to do that grounding exercise in a split second is what helps them maintain the resilience to then do whatever is needed for themselves or others. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because those of us who are therapists or working with people, it's part of our goal is to increase integration from us sort of internally and with our clients, with the people we work with. And I keep seeing that the more that we can, I'm agreeing with Karen here, the more that we can reach that internal integration, the more that is going to go out into the world, and with a very transpersonal, I've written down the book, Karen, because that sounds very transpersonal. The other is the bit of me that I'm not yet dealing with. So think global, act local, absolutely. Thank you so much, colleagues. This is invaluable.
Oh, thank you, Mo. So the combining of the outer world and the inner world, I think that's very important. And now I see Marianne. You have to unmute.
Yes, hello. I'm not 100% sure what I want to say here, but I feel I do want to respond. I was
Who are you?
Oh, sorry. I'm Marian Umney. I'm a TSTA. I live and work in the southeast of England.
Thank you.
And I'm very aware of how protected and cushioned we are in Western Europe from the actuality of what's going on in these war zones. And the group that I was in included Alema, who is actually still experiencing firsthand the effects of war, and has been through periods where he hasn't seen his family for 2 years, didn't know where they were, and the parallel process that went on was the instability in his internet connection, that he kept fading in and out. And it made me think of the difficulty of being able to really connect and being able to communicate with those people who are actually in it. And I think it's so hard for us in the West. We can talk the talk, we can walk the walk, we can give money, we can help with groups as transactional analysts, we can offer support, we can help with refugees, we can witness all of those things which Mo has said. And I live in a very right-wing, head in the sand area, and I find that there's a lot of witnessing that needs doing, though I'm not sure how many minds I change, but I think there is something very much about it being, well, I think my response to that has been, what I feel is anger. I feel despair about the way the world is going. I protect myself by only watching the news once a day because I can't cope with any more than that. It's just, I know what's going on, and watching the sensationalization of it on the news, I don't think helps me at all. But what it has made me aware of is just how much I have, and to really value every moment that I have with my family. You know, the fact that I can go to the supermarket down the road, and while things may be more expensive because of the wars, they're still there in the shops. I can still eat. We may have storms here, but I'm in a house with central heating. My house is not going to fall around me in 5 minutes' time, or it's not at risk. And I think that's the only way that I can deal with this, is just to be so grateful for what I have. And there is no way that I can fully understand what it's like for somebody like Alema, who is right in the middle of it. I can only get a very tiny taste of that. So I think that's what I wanted to say. So thank you, Gunther.
So thank you, Marian. It's about the relativity of our problems sometimes, and I think that's also a fact that I've been near Gaza in the last Gaza war in 2014, as Ronan talked about. I was in Esarot, and it's close to the border. Therefore, I had some experiences about it. But we are some distance away, but also it brings us back to maybe some roots about our own life. So, but it's not me talking here. I would like to invite someone else. Diane?
I think the time indicates that we need to move on, Gunther, if that's all right.
Yeah, if there is anyone who has a very hot topic now,
Yeah,
to
one more.
It's place for one more. That's not the case.
Okay.
Then we move on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, can I?
yes, you get the
Something.
last.
Okay, I'm the last one. Yes, thank you. I'm Marij Peters from the Netherlands. And I was in a group with 3 women from Romania, Spain, and India. And we, some of us try to understand what happened. And when we try to understand, it didn't help because it's not understandable what happened. And we talked also about what it does with us, with our basic trust in people, and also our basic trust in authorities. And that some of us get the idea, get messages from our government, which are like, don't express yourself too much, don't be you, and it extends the fear what we feel inside and exaggerates the helplessness. And we what I experience is both hope and on the other side, fear and helplessness. And in the end, we were talking about how can we be more active witnesses and be more, like people before said, bring more positive energy in the world in our own way, which suits our competence and our way of having influence. So I was touched by the inbreng, the things we discussed and we felt also together. Yeah. And I'm a systemic therapist. I also think in multipartiality, but it's a difficult concept, multipartiality, because it's also it's not enough. So perhaps we have to think about other concepts which are more helpful in this. Yeah.
So thank you, Mara. Thank you all. It's very touching, your comments, and I would like to give the word now to Diane.
Thank you all for very moving and important sharings. And clearly having a safe space in which to talk is a very important place to start for all of us. So thank you for that. I want to follow on now, and some of what I say will touch on what Karen and Mo and various Hasina and others mentioned. I'm taking it again from offering my personal responses. When we feel powerless in the face of large events beyond our reach, it's sometimes useful to remember that our own energy system is integral into the larger energy system. If we can access our most enlightened and loving self, experiencing compassion for all involved, we contribute that particular energy to the whole system. If we can own and manage our own impulses that are in any way violent, hateful, prejudiced, even intolerant, we can help to process and contain those energies on behalf of the whole. So I think we are never as powerless as we may imagine ourselves to be. That's my own belief. And once we've done this inner work, we may be ready to reach out in practical ways, whatever they are, to write an article, to offer healing, to donate time and money, to take political action, to build peace in our communities. All of this will have an impact not only on our own system, but on the whole. And in grappling with this myself, I wrote a poem which I'm going to share with you. It's called A Personal Response to Mossab Abu Toa. He's a Palestinian poet who wrote a very moving piece in the New Yorker about his and his family's flight from Gaza. And I was so moved by it, I needed to process. So I wrote a poem. Reading your account of your unsafe passage out of Gaza, I weep tears of grief, fury, helplessness. I hold my breath for a long time, like a child who hopes to stop something bad happening. At last, I breathe in your words. I bear witness to all they convey. My body shakes and shakes. Then I go for my morning swim. How can I do that? How can I even for a moment set Gaza aside? Yet how can I hold it any longer? The ocean embraces me, washes me, soothes me. I clutch as to a raft of kelp onto the hope that this great tide that washes all shores, moves the clouds and rivers, may, with its pulsing elements flowing in the veins of all humans, reach people in Gaza. Given the interconnectedness of everything, dare I trust that my moment of peace in the ocean will touch the heart of a refugee mother experiencing the kindness of strangers, or the head of a child lifting its face to the morning sun, the finger of a soldier who does not pull the trigger. As I walk out of the sea, I believe this is possible. I also know that political actions in the world and of the world are called for now. I remember how grateful we in South Africa were when international pressure shifted the balance of power in a very unequal struggle. The powerful are not easily brought to talks of peace or a wider truth than their own, or a dignity beyond what they believe. So I offer this pledge. I will amplify your voice where I can. I will raise my own. I will stand up for a holy peace in the land that was once called so. I will do whatever is my small part to do, that the children of Palestine and Israel may know what it is to be loved and held safe in the arms of the world. I need to breathe out now.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then
Thank
I will take you, into a short, heart-centered meditation, which I hope will help us all for the next just few minutes before we end. Is that all right, Gunther?
Yeah, it's all right, but you can
Part
also
of
have,
the plan.
you can have a minute for breathing.
A minute for breathing after my poem. Yes, I agree. Let me just find where my... Okay, just breathe out. And allow yourself again to be aware of your feet on the floor, your seat on whatever you're sitting on. Center your attention in your heart. Notice what is going on there. And when you do that, bring to mind some person or living thing for which you feel great love. Allow that love to fill your heart. Place yourself at the center of that heart space. You may put your hand on your chest to feel your heart beating. You may imagine yourself sitting inside your heart space. You may taste or smell that heart space and hear your heart beat. Center yourself in that heart space, where there may be some hurt, but there's also the love. Allow the love to expand. It naturally seeks to do that. Allow it to expand and it fills all your personal space, your body space and the personal space around you. Imagine it flowing out to all your closest family and friends. Notice its limitless nature and its connection to the boundless energy of life that moves in us all. Gradually allow it to flow further outward to those that you do not even know or love, but allow the love to flow out towards them, to your neighborhood, to your city, to your region and nation. This love knows no boundaries and is soon moving beyond nation or continent. It seeks to move over the whole world, observe how it flows out in ever-expanding circles, moving particularly into those areas where love is needed most, wherever that is. Go wherever your own consciousness takes you. Notice what calls to you and where you are drawn. And this love is for all humans and all living things. And cannot separate us ever. Whatever we imagine. Now slowly return to an awareness of your own body and your breath. Feel your breath coming and going. Open your eyes. Look around you at your surroundings. Many of us are counting our blessings and grateful for our solid surroundings and our peace around us. Notice the community that has joined you today and the heart spaces that were opened between all of you to hear each other and to support each other today. And I know many of you do work around the world to help and support others. So blessings on you all, and thank you.
Let's have a minute.
And while you're taking that minute, ground yourself well again by looking at what's around you, combining the inside and the outside.
Oh, thank you very much, Diane. Great impression. PJ, could you show us all again
And show us yourself as well, PJ, so that we can really acknowledge you. Thank you.
Thank you, PJ. Thank you all for your contributions. Not everyone could talk, but we were a big group today. And I thank my colleagues from the SEC and Michele, do we know our next date?
Not yet. We will announce our social media, sending emails to say which day will be the next 2 webinars in this series of 3. Everybody is welcome.
The next one will be on the professional side of this situations of disturbance, how we use it. Some of you already mentioned that it is important in working with our clients again.